Good morning, everyone. We're starting already the webinar on Ask the Experts on EAM. The intention of this webinar is to get an understanding of what the customers are experiencing right now and how they're having different approaches or how they are looking to solve their own issues within EAM, be it with a fully remote shift, or if you're working on maybe alternating shifts so that not all the personnel is on the site at the same time. And we have with us today uh, a couple of the experts from Visual K. We have been working with Angel Torres. He's our EAM lead. He's the first one in the ship and the last one out. So Angel, welcome.
Thank you, Ernesto, and thank you for the analogy with the ship. It's accurate.
Yep, yep,
A
yep.
little bit of the pessimist side, but yeah, we're here to take us to port.
Okay. And then we also have um, Saul Soto. He's the program manager. He's been working a lot with all of our projects within the US and Caribbean area. He has been working with many different industries, and he's with us today. So Saul, welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the presentation, Nestor.
Okay, so we also have Luis Echevarria. He's one of our biggest project managers and he's been doing implementations in the industry. He's been working with oil and gas, he's been working with power generation, he's been working with food and beverage, he's been working with all of these different industries where EAM is not only a good tool, but it's also a great addition to the maintenance programs on all of these industries. So Luis, welcome. Luis? Okay, he probably has some issues with the audio. So let's continue. So let's talk a little bit about Visual K and what's our purpose. So basically what we are trying to do is aid to the customer success by helping them keep their plants running. We are looking for them to maintain a reliability and safety. And right now we're dealing with different scenarios where different maintenance staff is either alternating their shifts, they're overcoming challenges with their sourcing of parts and coordinating their services. So we're looking for ways to identify how EAM is a good aid in this situation. So this whole session is the main purpose is to have Q&A where you write in your question and we are looking at addressing them with the experts and have them give us good answers of what may be your main concerns. So let's start with a couple of pointers on how to start with your EAM and approach this scenario, right? So either Saul or Angel, can you tell us what mobile functionality should we looking at specifically for this scenario?
Well, let me take the first swing at it. Obviously, the nature of the work in either a power plant or a manufacturing plant it lends itself very well to mobility, right? Um, in the old days, our customers used to print work orders, give it to the technicians, the mechanics. They will go about, fixing what needed to be fixed, and then writing on that piece of paper, and whatever came back to to the supervisor was kind of put it into EAM, if you were able to make up what they were writing. So even more so today, our customers more and more are using mobility via tablets or smartphones. And in the current situation, the current environment, I think that it's even more critical. Some of the functions that we think are probably not critical, but key to making mobility work better for you is through the use of checklists. The other is to add documentation, either at the asset level or the work order level, so that when people go out to the field, they have at their fingertips as much information as needed. Um, so those are some of the ideas. I don't know, Saul, if you want to add to this.
So no, just aggregate something. The most important thing for the mobility. So on my perspective is, so if you want to improve your data, so try to use your source, your primary source. In this case, I think the protagonist of the work maybe the is the technician guy. So the technician guy has so have the opportunity to use on a technology to capture everything. So the on a picture, the labor, specific instructions, capture whatever information that is important for your company. So the mobile device or EAM mobile has multiple tools to give you more information from the source. That is the most important thing. So access operational checklist, the checklist for example the safety. You can manage the permit to work. You can work with the inventory, physical inventory. You can see your equipment. You can see your history. You can issue parts, receive parts, return parts in your inventory. Um, you have multiple ways to capture the information from the technician guy or the operational guy. Obviously, EAM Mobile every year continue improving with new technology, new functions. I think it's very complex and it's very nice to use. It's very user friendly. So my invitation is try, eliminate the paper, um, try to use the people, the field people to use the mobile device.
Thanks. So essentially, let's say you're looking for ways to have your team follow specific safety procedures. Let's say you want them to clean the surfaces before they interact with the machines or whatever the procedure may be for this. Is there a way to add maybe instructions or something to let them know, hey, you need to do this before you even engage on the machine?
Sorry,
Angel?
Ernesto, who's going to take this one? Me?
Uh, sure. Take a
Well,
turn
when it
there.
comes, all right. So when it comes to instructions and the kind of information that you can add, um, obviously you can do a lot of work in setting up your tasks so that they follow into your work orders. Um, but I'll make the point again that especially if you're limited in terms of time and resources, probably documentation, electronic documentation added to the work orders is your best bet at this moment.
Hmm. Gotcha. Okay. So any other features that we should need we need to look at either on the mobile or on the desktop that we would need to look at? Either Saul or Angel can answer this one.
Well,
Could you repeat it again?
Sure. So we already talked about checklists and how they have a great influence on how we do our operations right now in the mobile, right? And is there anything we should look at other than that, either on the mobile or at the desktop level at this point?
so
Well, basically, are
yeah,
you gonna take it, Saul?
it's okay. Just for me, I want to mention the GIS. So GIS another feature that is integrated with mobile device. So help you to allocate the assets. So if you are in the, for example, transmissions, distribution transmission industry, or just for as on a work in the field for transmission lines, is very powerful. Um, Other thing is the train, so for rails, for streets, for many other things that, for example, for your linear assets, is very powerful, useful. So this is another component that is available in the mobile device, in the mobile EAM mobile, sorry.
Got it. Luis, you wanted to say something?
Well, I just wanted to add that basically as time has passed, if you look at what was mobile probably like 2 3 years ago compared to what it is right now and what are the capabilities that it has, basically it has grown exponentially in a sense that basically you can do most of your jobs out there in the field, capture the data like the guys have been discussing previously, and basically being able to get that feedback right from the spot, right from the problem that you're encountering. So I think that really pushes the whole thing in terms of mobility and work management right on the spot. So I think as we see in the near future, this thing will continue to grow, and we should be able to do many other things right from that mobile device.
Okay, thank you, Luis. So let's talk a little bit about working remotely. So what's the alternative when trying to schedule a team um, remotely? So we're not probably at the office right now, and what options do we have right now to schedule the team?
You remember EAM is a web base, so you can use your EAM in your laptop or in your mobile using EAM mobile. But exists multiple features in EAM mobile. You can schedule labor, so it's another tool. So you can use your EAM mobile. You can use the work order scheduling in EAM. You can use work order daily scheduling. So it's on a screen that you can review your work orders, review your personal available, and review if you have another material available. So you can schedule by shift. Okay. So exist multiple ways to use the EAM for scheduling job, okay, remotely, okay.
Right, you mentioned that you can schedule shifts, right? So we have customers that do their alternating shift, basically have three people work one day and the other three work another day, so they're not all together at the same time. Um, Someone needs to let them know when, right? Um, is there is that what we're looking at when we're talking about shift scheduling?
It's correct. It's correct. So you can scheduling by shift and for a specific crew. The other thing is you can schedule from your home, and the technician or the employees can see what work order are assigned to him. So it's very nice.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about measuring this. We can assign it, but how do we know the performance is there and they're executing their tasks, right? So what KPIs could we use to see what's the completion and progress on different jobs?
Well, Ernesto, so in terms of how are we able to see how everything's progressing, I think like Saul said, EAM it's a web based, so you can be able to see it right from your home, right? Just opening a web browser. Once you either have a VPN connection or is it a public connection? Once you are able to get in, how you're gonna be able to see those? Well, basically, for every work management that exists, there has to be some sort of a process, right? And the process will indicate at which state is that work order at, right? Is it currently being executed, or is it, or was it executed already, and the supervisor is reviewing it? These we are able to measure these out by just capturing that change of status, right? So once the technician goes at work, he executes, he changes status, and he synchronizes right from the mobile device. Once that is synchronized with the current application from the web, basically you will be able to see and count how many of the jobs that you have scheduled for that day, how many are completed, how many are uh, in process, right? Or how many are still in the works, right? Probably not being executed, but probably will be in the couple of hours next, right? So in a sense, that work order status give us powerful information in terms of where we at with the jobs that we have for now, and what is it that we need to engage in the next couple of hours just to keep up with the current schedule.
Got it. And would you recommend this as a perhaps a KPI, an inbox? How would you see it working better?
I see those more in terms of an inbox. Probably it will be like the way that you can see those, let's say 3 jobs that are currently being executed. Well, you just double click on those, and anything that has been updated, you're gonna see it right from the screen. So probably your inbox will be the notification to go at it, and probably by the end of the day, probably you will have some kind of a KPI that will measure based on how much it was scheduled for that day, how much it was completed, and how much was it currently, let's say, currently open or not finished because of some instance that it happened at that point. But that will be like our measurement at the end of the day, saying, did we keep up with the with our schedule, right? Were we were able to finish it up, or what happened that we did not complete it from all the jobs that were supposed to be done. That would be my KPI for the end of the day, to see what is happening, what things that I can do in order to uh, for the next day make sure that we do keep up with what the jobs are.
Got it. Got it. Now, let's talk a little bit about face to face, right? So I'm at my home. I have my technicians on the field, and they probably have questions regarding a specific job that they're executing. How can they reach me when I'm not there?
So if you're using your mobile device, for example, if you use Apple iOS, you have the possibility to use the FaceTime. So you can open your EAM mobile from your mobile device, select the FaceTime in your EAM mobile application, and has this interactive um, with your maybe your boss or maybe another person. So it's another tools that give you the AM mobile. So exists another way. So for example, you can put comments, you can take a notes from the AM mobile. So if your mobile device as data, for example, or is connect to the Wi-Fi. So this information go straight forward to the EAM. So the other guy, your boss or the manager or the supervisor has the possibility to take the information instantaneously. So yes, in this case, EM mobile is the better option.
Nice. Okay, so even if I don't have the application, can you either call me or can I receive a call even if I'm not using the mobile version?
Sorry, can you repeat again, Ernesto?
So when you're using the mobile application, is there any way you can communicate with me even if I don't have the app on the other side?
Well, exists dependently exists in this case your WhatsApp and another thing. But for example, if you don't use the AM mobile, the other way is use your laptop or another device that you can connect from your data um, on your Wi-Fi.
Okay. Okay. So how do I make sure that the work order is not stuck or a PO is not stuck whenever they request a part or they request a PO or something and it's awaiting approval and you're getting a lot of them either accumulated or so by let's say you know where it's at and someone on your crew is not executing them correctly. How can you make sure that they do the job even when you're not there?
Well, in terms of Info AM and basically all the framework it has several features that can help us, for example, count how many, let's say, minutes or how many hours is that work order in a specific state, right? And should have moved accordingly, right? So there's exists a couple of features within EAN that can help us uh, generate notifications out of that, right? So that, for example, maybe not the person, well, it can be the person or the technician or the actual supervisor that it's executing it, getting that. But let's say that if they are not uh, working with the process, right, getting those jobs complete and pushing them forward, and probably we can, with those features, we can generate kind of notifications that go to the next level of management, right? So that people could be aware of what is happening, and that way they can sort of engage with the correct persons, right? So that they can move and push the process forward, right? So there's there's a couple of those within EAM that we can use to generate those kind of notifications. And also, if we have the whole suite, then there's tons more, right, that we can use to generate those kind of other notifications within the system.
Got it. So there's ways to trigger different notifications based on how you
Yeah.
set them up, right?
For example, let's say that you have a PO that it's kind of stuck there for 2 3 days. Well, basically, you can set up the system in such a way that you can count how many times under that same status, and with that, if that is greater than a specific value, generate me a notification. It can be an email, it can be any sort of notifications within the system that can go to specific person that can help us push them the process forward, right? Move it accordingly and make sure that it continues on.
Okay. So looking at ways to have less personnel in the plant at all times, who would you consider a person that is essential in daily operations, even during this emergency? Let's say you have operators, you have inventory management, you have your procurement team. Who needs to remain inside for the whole process to run smoothly, at least on a reduced capacity, but have someone there at all times?
Well, basically, you can have, let's say, in a sense, we can have our operators, right? In some sort of situations, we have operators that do have some, at least some level of technical skills. Those can be your first level of engagement with any uh, problem that you can encounter in the facility or in a power station or any type of job, right? So your operators are your must-have, and probably will have uh, supervisors in there, right? For inventory management, in terms of experience, there's you can have people in there, but at least if you have the persons instructed to make sure of what they're taking out from the inventory, uh, basically if they record that out, then probably you might not need to have the inventory management all the time, right? But again, that is based on type of work, type of industry. For some, it might be a plus to have them. For some, no. So that would also engage us with. So probably, yeah, operators, probably technicians, um, might be the inventory, store clerk, or anyone who manages inventory. I think those three are your most important ones, and probably the rest of the people have been, like for example, procurement, that for them to be ready in order to, let's say, you need some sort of material that they can engage on that and start the whole process of procuring that items that they need. But those people can work probably remotely because of, I mean, the application lets them do that remotely, and they can do them uh, in a good way.
Right. And of course you have the inventory. It depends on how big it is, right?
Yeah, for
So
example,
you
if
don't
you
need to
have,
have like a, go ahead.
yeah, so if you have a like a big inventory, probably you will need a person in there. But if you have a small inventory, it's basically the probably you might not have to have someone in there.
Got it. And how about if you're doing peak tickets? Is there a way to, let's say, bypass it for the period of the emergency, or would you not recommend that?
So every time you can go straight forward to the work order and generate the issue transaction or return transaction during the emergency, if it's emergency or it's an event, important event. So the peak ticket, the most important thing for the peak ticket is taking a control of your what do you need and what is used. But eventually, for example, if you are working in a critical asset, critical job, so you don't need to extend the time for approval or for create big ticket or another process that not necessarily aggregate a really important thing. So is you have the other option to go straight to the work order and just issue part. Just go to the work order to the store, and the storekeeper just create the issue transactions.
Right. So as long as you have some sort of control on what's being issued, what's being returned, and what's always in movement, then you could bypass it, right? So not necessarily you need to have um, a big ticket in this scenario, but you are encouraged to have some sort of control, right?
It's correct. It's correct. So the other thing is you use the EAM mobile. So the technician guy, for example, if he have on a truck with some spare parts, so he can generate the issue transaction from the mobile device. Is another way.
Hmm. Got it. So talking about having teams that are keeping a distance between them, is there a way to see where all the teams are located, or how can we either schedule them to be distributed on the plant or at the site so that they can all work without being all together?
Sorry, the question is how you see your people schedule or
No,
uh,
no. So when you're scheduling your team,
yeah.
how is there a way to see to have visibility on where is everyone going to be at so that you can distribute them in a way that they're not having contact with each other at this time?
But well, exists on a window on a screen, sorry, and EAM call it mechanic workbench. Mechanic workbench give you the possibility to know that you can know who is the person that start with the job. If you use the EAM mobile, so if the person has in the field and start the job and synchronize the information with EAM, so you can go through direct to the EAM and go to the mechanic workbench screen and select the employee or technician guy, and you can see if this guy start to the work with the work, okay, or stop the work. Okay, so it's another feature available in EAM.
Okay.
So and also just to add to what Saul said, so there's other features that exist a little bit more complex, but they give you an overall aspect of where the jobs are located within, let's say, the plant, right? Let's say that you have a drawing of the whole plant, and you can visualize where are the different jobs at, right? So that way you can also see proximity, visibility of who's and interacting, who's executing the jobs. just to make sure that they have all the necessary precautions to do those, right?
With the location, I think we have another option, OpenCAT. So OpenCAT is another tool, powerful tool. If you have a diagram, a schematic, and a layout, and a drawing, you can put this information in EAM, and you can allocate it where is the job, and what is the asset that maybe the technician is working.
Right, right. So is there a way to have the technicians have either work orders or PMs that they're doing in a specific area within the plant? So let's say there's 4 assets in a location, and is there a way to schedule work orders just for that technician on that area, or how can this be managed?
Yeah, you can schedule a job by crew, for example. You can schedule in jobs by shift, and so you can schedule a job by location too. So depending how you want to manage your jobs or your crew or your area, exist multiple ways to scheduling in the activities in EAM.
Okay. So thinking about reducing personnel may sacrifice some sort of some part of the maintenance that is being performed, right? Is there any area within EAM that would need to be sacrificed, or what would be the least important area where we can maybe shift our attention from that and move to a more important area?
Our experience is the first thing is evaluate your equipments. What is your critical equipment in your plant or in your manufacturer line or your company? So the first thing is try to produce your critical equipment first. Then I think evaluate your preventive maintenance if it's necessary or not. So I think the most important thing is the PMs that maybe you manage your inspections, because give you the predictive and a predictive action. So if you manage your preventive maintenance, so review your preventive maintenance and try to evaluate if all tasks in this preventive maintenance is aggregate any value in this preventive maintenance. So my suggestion is try to produce an critical equipment list first. Evaluate your preventive maintenance and your predictive maintenance, and try to determine what is the most important activities in your maintenance work orders. Okay.
Yeah, makes sense. You would go basically from most important to least important. Let's say you have a spare equipment or something like that where you don't really need to perform either PMs or preventive or predictive, and and start with those that are critical to operations. Is that what you're saying?
It's correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
Luis, you want to add something to that one?
Oh yeah. Also, out of your current jobs, in terms of your corrective, right? You can also, if you're using a kind of metric in terms of priorities within those work orders. So probably the lowest priorities, you can take them out of the picture for now and just focus on the current one that at some sort they should be tied up with the criticality of those assets, right? That Saul mentioned to make the list of. So those other jobs that can be um, suspended for now because of the criticality and the priority of the job. Well, also we can take those out and just focus on the current ones that can make some sort of a bigger problem within the facility or the company if you don't take care of them quickly.
And what about due dates? Do they matter at this point, or could we look at that with a least priority?
Due dates of the work or due dates of the PMs are you referring to?
Well, both, right? So usually work when you're doing a corrective work order, due date is for right now because it's probably broken down and you can't work with it. But due dates on PMs on the other side, if it's for today, but let's say you performed it recently, do you really need to do it again?
No, I think in terms of I think that becomes part of the planning process in terms of uh, do we need to take care of those, right? I think it's in that part of the whole work management process where we can ask ourselves, do we really need to do this or not? It's supposed to be for tomorrow, but based on our current situation, does it make sense to be done, right? So I think all happens around the part of the planning process and basically planning, due dates, those are all part of the variables that we need to keep track of in order to make our assessment a good one, right? A better one, and that doesn't impact the operation of the plant or the facility or so on.
Right. And that's particular to each plant, right? But it's essentially it's a formula combining all of these factors, right? So you need to look at all of these and know what's your
Yeah,
weekly, right? And
right,
knowing,
right. At some aspect, we employ scheduling using 6 weeks to know our jobs for 6 weeks, and then within those 6 weeks, what are the jobs that are need to be in the first 2 weeks of those 6 weeks, right? So that also give us a priority of the type of job that we should be executing within uh, our period of time that we are at that moment. So it is important, like you said, to include all these parameters, all these variables within the process of planning, so that we do take care of the things that we should be doing and things that won't impact us because of the type of job. We can push them a little bit forward.
okay. So what are some of the features that allow administrators to have a better management and monitoring of activities and employees remotely?
I mentioned a powerful tool, yo. So the mechanic workbench. So you can monitor in the if it start or stop in a job. Exists another obviously the status, work order status. So you can see if this job is in progress or is complete or is scheduled. So obviously the AAM has a natural dashboard called Start Center. So when you can monitoring the different ways. So using your inbox, is using your KPIs. So I think for tracking the employees or technician, or so exists another tools in the mobile device that you can track in where is the mobile user and what is the job assigned to him. So exist the notifications. When the technician complete the job, you can receive the notification from EAM. So now we have integrate the Mingle. So Mingle is another tool that you can connect EAM with Mingle, and it's on a social enterprise media. So you can use this option. So yes, you have multiple ways to track in the employees and receive the feedback too.
Okay, so let me break it down. I have a couple of questions following up. So you mentioned the mechanic workbench. Is
Yeah,
that focused on activities active at this point, or how does that work?
activity active.
Right, so you're saying once I press the start button on the mobile device, that's
Correct.
what would trigger them to appear in the mechanic workbench?
Is correct. Is correct. So when you go to the mechanical workbench in the EAM screen, so you can see if this employee start the job.
Right. And that's considered a mobile license, or how's that quantified?
Um, it's considered for mobile. So
Okay.
you can use the screen without the mobile device, but essentially you can use this function if you have a person using the mobile device.
Okay. So it only works if you have someone doing the start and stop on the mobile app.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
And you also mentioned Mingle. So Mingle essentially is, you said, a social media for EAM, right? Where
Yeah.
you can communicate with different personnel, have them either, hey, I need you to approve this work order, or send some parts to add to the work order. Is that something that you would see having a huge impact on how this current crisis, is basically affecting day-to-day work, and having them essentially have to recur to new measurements or new methodology to resolve their issues?
Yeah, so Mingle is a nice tool because it's very similar to the actual social media, sorry. So you can interact, you can interactive with your people, um, use a chat or using a notification exists on a task using Mingle, and you can connect your different application, not necessarily EAMs. If you have another application, external applications, you can integrate the application using the Mingle, and you start to interactive with the peoples, and the other thing, you can send, for example, a link when the to the procurement, for example, and say, okay, I create this requisition, please um it's a high priority, I need your
Yeah, please
attention.
approve.
Yeah, please approve.
Mhm.
You can send a photo, you can send different options. You have different options in the Mingle device. Mingle software.
Can you add documents to the
Is
Mingle
correct.
platform?
Is correct. Is correct. The other thing, interactive with the document management system. So if you upload a document to the specific work order, um, create on a link with work order and document. So every time that you go to another screen, another place in your software, so you can see the documents. So if you select the equipment in this work order, so you can see all documents related to this equipment. So you can upload pictures, you can upload Word, Excel, diagrams, drawings. So
Okay, nice, nice.
functionality.
So let's talk a little bit about Burst. So Burst, we know, is a business intelligence tool, and we can have different KPIs or parameters to measure how either plants are performing or how we need to um, either address maintenance or how the health of the plant is at each given time, each given point, right? So talk to me a little bit more about how we can measure or what we can measure at this point in this particular scenario where we need to have perhaps visibility of all the plants without being able to visit them or 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 some sort of scenario.
Yeah, so we have we developing on a dashboard specific for maintenance asset health, so that help you to know what is the health of these assets in terms to know what is the asset condition, what is the work order priorities, what is the PM compliance, what is your inventory compliance. So using Burst help us to develop a tool very powerful for the industries. For example, we have this option implemented in the power generation when the manager can see the different units and see what is the maintenance asset health for each unit and the plan overall. So he can go straight to the burst, see your KPIs, for example, the asset condition KPI. He can click the asset condition KPI and drill down to the specific asset that is in critical condition. What is the work order opens? What is the PM's opens? What is the priority, work order priority for this asset? If the material is available or not. So it's very nice. So this tool is very useful to tracking and see what is the asset health condition.
Right. So let's say me being a CEO, I wish, right? But um, me being a CEO, having five, six plants under my authority, I don't need to be in the office to see this. So I can just be anywhere and see this and not have to engage physically with these plants to know, okay, so this one needs help or this one.
It's correct. And other thing is the mobile app is available for me Burst too. So he can use your phone, his phone, and or tablet or laptop. So it's very user friendly.
Very nice. So we have about 5 minutes, and we're going to let you guys give a final statement on what you think EAM should do and how we should be able to help each other within the crisis, the current crisis we're doing right now. And also, we're going to give um, attendees a last opportunity to type in any questions that you may have. So let's start with Luis. So what do you think EAM in a nutshell, right? How do you think EAM has been essential for this crisis to keep the plants running?
Well, in terms of how EAM is essential is that basically for all these plans running, they kind of need an enterprise asset management, a CMS, some sort of software, right, that can track all the things and maintain all these records in terms of the maintenance done at all of these um, equipment, right? So it's essential that you have a software such as Info EAM because it can manage not only the work management side, but also the other aspects needed um, for a specific job, right? For example, safety components, permits, lottos, all of that. Those are things that even on a crisis, we have to have some sort of a management system in order to get approval for the permits to make them available, right? So a tool such as InfoAM provides you with all the necessary modules and features in order to execute jobs accordingly within the guidelines of a company and even within the guidelines of a country, right? Because you have to produce some sort of evidence of the things that you're doing, that they can be traceable and they can have audits within that. So I think that sense makes A4AM essential to manage your maintenance and be able to capture additional things in order to push forward your maintenance plan and be able to make those equipment optimum and to respond at the time that you want them to respond.
Thank you, Luis. Saul, do you have any last words that you want to add to Luis's?
Well, the combination with the software and our expertise is the successful. So
Yeah.
we have more than 15 years working with EAM. So we have the tools and we have the expertise to help you. So feel free to
And the
contact.
tricks of the trade,
Yeah,
we have them all of our below our sleeves, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
we didn't call you experts if we weren't sure you wouldn't know anything, right?
yeah.
So, Angel, do you want to have some last words?
Yeah, thank you, and thank everyone for joining. Obviously, this is a very informal conversation. Perhaps it feels more like an old radio program, uh, or maybe to make it more modern, more like a podcast. But the intent was for you to submit your questions, and we were basically fielding any and all questions, right? So that's why we chose to do this format. But we understand the current situation in which you're in, and how you're challenged in terms of keeping your plan running. So that's why we wanted to open this opportunity for you to ask, and then we'll take them as they come. What we'll do is that we're going to post this recording in our blog, within our website visualk.com, and we will also make sure that you know about it via our LinkedIn page and our individual pages. So again, thank you, Ernesto, for doing a great job of as moderator for this webinar today. Thank you, Luis and Saul, for taking time off from from your projects. I know that you're gonna have to make up for it, but it's important for us to share some of your experience with our customers so they can make better use of the tools that they have. So again, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Angel. And to everyone, feel free to contact us, ernesto.perez@visualk, angel.torres@visualk.com, and we will be either redirecting your questions to the experts or replying to them and finding the information that you need. So on behalf of all of Visual K, thank you very much and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.